The grand amphitheater of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of 3 moons, its crystalline architecture designed to amplify the spectacle about to unfold. Thousands of beings from across the known universe had gathered for the galactic cultural exchange. But all eyes were fixed on the central platform, where Ambassador Kizoth of the Pyraxians prepared to demonstrate his species' mastery over flame. Kizoth stood tall, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with anticipation. Like all Pyraxians, his translucent epidermis revealed the complex network of thermal organs beneath, evolutionary marvels that had made his species the undisputed masters of fire manipulation throughout known space. The ambient temperature rose several degrees as he raised his arms, fingers splayed toward the star-studded sky. "Behold," his voice resonated through the chamber, "the art that has defined our civilization for 10,000 years." With a gesture that seemed almost casual, flames burst from his fingertips, not in crude jets, but in precisely controlled ribbons that danced through the air like auroral lights. The display drew gasps from most of the assembled diplomats. Kizoth wove the flames into increasingly complex patterns, here a burning phoenix rising from imaginary ashes, there a cascade of fire flowers blooming and dissolving in midair. The temperature control was exquisite. He could maintain dozens of individual flame streams at different heat levels, creating subtle color variations that painted pictures in fire. Among the observers, the Earth delegation maintained appropriately impressed expressions, though keen observers might have noticed their attention seemed more analytical than awestruck. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, officially listed as a cultural attaché, but whose actual role involved experimental weapons development, watched with particular intensity. Her dark eyes tracked each movement of Kizoth's performance, while her augmented contact lenses recorded thermal data for later analysis. "Beautiful, isn't it?" A Pyraxian diplomatic aide had noticed her attention. Few species ever achieve such mastery over the fundamental forces of nature. It takes generations of genetic refinement to develop such control. Sarah smiled politely. "Truly impressive," she agreed, even as she subvocalized into her nearly invisible comm unit. Thermal signature analysis complete. Maximum observed temperature, 827 degrees Celsius. Proceeding with Operation Prometheus. The aide, interpreting her slight smile as the expected awe, continued proudly, "Of course, we understand that species like yours must rely on tools for such manipulation. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Not everyone can evolve such gifts." Above them, Kizoth had created a swirling vortex of flame that resolved itself into a detailed map of Pyraxian space, each star system rendered in fire of slightly different hues. The display drew appreciative applause, though Sarah noticed several of her fellow humans hiding knowing smiles. "Tell me," she asked the aide with carefully crafted innocence, "has your species done much exploration into artificial plasma generation, or perhaps thermal manipulation beyond natural fire?" The aide's bioluminescence flickered, and what Sarah had learned was their equivalent of a dismissive laugh. "Why would we need to? We have perfected the art of fire in its purest form. These mechanical approaches you speak of are surely pale imitations of true mastery." Sarah's smile widened slightly as she sent another subvocal message. "Cultural assessment confirmed. Proceeding with Phase 2 preparations." To the aide, she merely nodded. "You may be right. Though I hope you'll attend our cultural demonstration next week. We've prepared something special." The grand finale of Kizoth's performance was reaching its crescendo. He had created a sphere of interweaving flame streams that encompassed the entire platform, drawing cries of appreciation from the crowd. Within the sphere, complex patterns shifted and flowed, telling the story of Pyraxian evolution, from simple fire-sensitive organisms to their current mastery. What the audience couldn't see was Sarah's augmented vision display, showing the precise limits of the Pyraxians' thermal manipulation. Numbers and analysis scrolled across her field of view, confirming what Earth scientists had already suspected. The Pyraxians had become so reliant on their natural abilities that they'd never pushed beyond them. They had perfected their gift, but hadn't imagined transcending it. As the performance concluded and the applause thundered through the amphitheater, Sarah sent one final message. All units confirm. Operation Prometheus is go. Prepare the demonstration facilities. Time to show them what humanity's crude tools can really do. The fire show above continued, beautiful but limited, while humanity's representatives quietly set in motion a plan that would shatter the Pyraxians' understanding of what true mastery over fire could mean. The age of natural fire manipulation was about to meet the era of engineered inferno, and the galaxy would never be quite the same. The crystalline halls of the Pyraxian flagship, Eternal Flame, hummed with barely contained energy as Ambassador Kizoth prepared for his private demonstration. The vessel itself was a marvel of thermal engineering, its transparent corridors shot through with ribbons of controlled fire that served both as decoration and power source. Earth's delegation had been invited aboard for what Kizoth had termed a more intimate display of our mastery. Lieutenant Sarah Chen studied the construction with genuine interest. The Pyraxians had built their entire civilization around their natural abilities, creating architecture that doubled as an art form. Heat exchangers were unnecessary. The species could regulate temperature through pure biological control. It was impressive, if limited. You seem fascinated by our thermal conduits, Kizoth observed, his skin pulsing with what Sarah had learned to recognize as pride. Quite different from your crude fusion reactors and combustion engines, wouldn't you agree? Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile. Every civilization finds its own path to advancement, she replied, noting how the ambassador's bioluminescence flared at the implied equality. Indeed, Kizoth said, leading them into what appeared to be a demonstration chamber. Though some paths are clearly more evolved than others, allow me to show you what true fire mastery looks like. The chamber darkened, and Kizoth began his performance. Unlike the public display, this was clearly meant to be educational, or perhaps more accurately, condescending. As he created increasingly complex formations of flame, he lectured on Pyraxian superiority. Notice how each finger can maintain a different temperature, he explained, creating a rainbow of flame colors. Our youngest children achieve this by their 5th year. I understand human children are still warned away from matches at that age. Several human engineers exchanged glances, their expressions carefully neutral. Dr. Marcus Wong, a leading plasma physicist, made a small notation on his datapad. Sarah caught a glimpse. Maximum observed temperature unchanged, 827 degrees Celsius. Thermal control impressive but static. No evidence of advancement beyond evolutionary capabilities. Kizoth continued his demonstration, oblivious to the subtle reactions of his audience. He created a miniature star system in flame, planets orbiting a central fire sun. Our mastery allows us to shape flame as you might shake clay. We don't simply unleash it like your primitive explosives. Fascinating, Sarah commented. And this is the apex of Pyraxian fire control. No further developments in thermal manipulation. The ambassador's flames flickered momentarily, a slight break in his perfect control. What further development could be needed? We have perfected fire itself. Dr. Wong coughed slightly, drawing attention. And your definition of fire is limited to combustion reactions within standard atmospheric conditions. I'm not familiar with your technical jargon, Kizoth dismissed, though his skin's glow dimmed slightly. Fire is fire. We are its masters. These theoretical distinctions seem like the kind of overcomplication one would expect from a tool-dependent species. Sarah noticed how the other Pyraxian officials in the room shifted uncomfortably at the exchange. One younger aide was frantically checking something on their equivalent of a datapad, their bioluminescence pulsing with what might have been concern. Of course, Sarah soothed, though there was a glint in her eye. We look forward to sharing our own modest achievements in thermal manipulation next week. Though perhaps we should discuss safety protocols first. Our demonstration may involve temperatures slightly above your comfortable range. Zoth's flame display faltered for a microsecond. Above our range. Impossible. We are capable of handling any natural fire." "Oh, we won't be limiting ourselves to natural fire," Sarah said cheerfully. "But let's not spoil the surprise. Please, continue your demonstration." The ambassador recovered quickly, launching into an elaborate display of fire weaving that drew appropriate gasps from some of the human delegation. But Sarah noticed how his aide was now furiously comparing notes with their scientists, their agitation growing more obvious by the minute. As the demonstration concluded, K'Zoth couldn't resist one final dig. "I hope this has been educational." Sometimes seeing true mastery can inspire even the most primitive methods to improve. "Educational indeed," Sarah agreed. "Though I have just one small question. Have you ever considered what happens to plasma when it's compressed beyond the Chandrasekhar limit?" "No." "Well, you'll find out next week." She left the ambassador staring after her, his flames unconsciously dimming as he tried to parse her words. Behind him, the young aide was now frantically pulling up information on human plasma physics, their bioluminescence pulsing with the first traces of fear. The humans departed the eternal flame, leaving behind a subtle current of unease in their wake. Zoth's certainty in Pyraxian superiority remained intact, but somewhere in the back of his mind, a small doubt had taken root. What exactly were these humans planning? The diplomatic reception hall of the Galactic Council's Earth Embassy glowed with both artificial lighting and the natural bioluminescence of its Pyraxian guests. The evening had progressed from formal ceremonies to what humans would call the after-party, where real diplomatic work often occurred between sips of wine and carefully casual conversation. Young Lord Verest, third heir to the Pyraxian Thermal Assembly, was discovering that earth wines had an unexpected effect on his species' fire-generating organs. Each glass made his natural flames burn brighter but less controlled, a fact that both delighted and concerned the other guests who kept a careful distance from his increasingly erratic displays. "You know," Verest announced, his skin pulsing with wine-induced patterns, "I've been thinking about your species' relationship with fire." He gestured widely, sending a spray of sparks across the room. "It's really quite adorable how you keep trying to master it with machines." Sarah Chen, who had been watching the young noble's increasing inebriation with calculated interest, stepped forward. "Adorable? How fascinating. Would you care to elaborate, Lord Verest?" The young Pyraxian's flames flickered in what might have been a hiccup. "Well, it's like watching children with their toys. No offense." He created a small fire butterfly that flew unsteadily through the air. "We mastered fire through evolution. You're still playing with matches." Several other Pyraxian diplomats shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the dangerous territory their young noble was entering. Ambassador K'Zoth moved to intervene, but Verest continued before he could reach him. "I'll tell you what," Verest declared, his voice carrying across the now quieting room. "Let's have a contest. Your best fire technology against our natural mastery. Winner gets..." He paused, swaying slightly. "Winner gets priority access to the Carina trade routes for the next solar cycle." The room fell silent. The Carina routes were among the most valuable trading paths in the sector. K'Zoth's skin flashed with alarm patterns. Such a wager was far beyond a young noble's authority to make. "An interesting proposal," Sarah said before any of the senior Pyraxian diplomats could object. "Though perhaps we should formalize the terms. I would hate for there to be any misunderstanding." "Lieutenant Chen," General Martinez whispered urgently, "the trade route negotiations are supposed to take months. We can't risk them on a demonstration." Sarah's smile never wavered. "Trust me, sir. This is exactly what we've been waiting for." She turned back to Verest. "Shall we say a formal demonstration 1 week from today? We have a facility prepared that should be suitable." "Done," Verest declared, attempting to seal the agreement with a traditional Pyraxian flame oath, but managing only to singe his own ceremonial robes. K'Zoth finally reached his young charge. "Lord Verest, perhaps we should discuss this with the Assembly first." "Afraid, Ambassador?" Sarah asked innocently. Surely if our technology is as primitive as you've suggested, there's no risk in a friendly competition. The ambassador's skin darkened with barely contained emotion. He was trapped. To back down now would be to admit doubt in Pyrexian superiority. Very well, he said stiffly. 1 week. Though I trust you understand that any temperatures involved must be within reasonable safety parameters. Oh, absolutely, Sarah assured him. We'll have all necessary safety protocols in place. I've already taken the liberty of preparing specialized observation shields rated for extreme conditions. As the Pyrexian delegation led their stumbling young noble away, Sarah began sending messages through her comm unit. Operation Prometheus entering final phase. Prepare the Nevada facility. Full demonstration protocol. Lieutenant, General Martinez said quietly, I hope you know what you're doing. Those trade routes. Trust me, sir, Sarah replied, watching the Pyrexians depart. After what they see next week, they'll be offering us more than just trade routes. They'll be begging for our technology. In the corner, Dr. Wong was already updating facility preparations on his datapad. Testing containment fields now. Should we include the experimental plasma torch in the demonstration? Sarah's smile turned predatory. Include everything. It's time to show them what humanity's toys can really do. As the reception mooned down, the humans and Pyrexians retired to their respective quarters, each side confident in their superiority. But while the Pyrexians dreamed of easy victory, Sarah Chen's team worked through the night, preparing to shatter not just records, but an entire species' understanding of what fire mastery truly meant. The Nevada desert stretched endlessly under the morning sun as the Pyrexian delegation's shuttle descended toward what appeared to be a simple concrete bunker. Ambassador Kizoth studied the structure through the vessel's thermal imaging system, his bioluminescence pulsing with barely concealed disdain. This is their demonstration facility, he asked, noting the seemingly primitive construction. I expected something more substantial from a species so devoted to their tools. The young Lord Verest, now thoroughly sober and increasingly nervous about his drunken wager, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Perhaps they chose something simple for our comfort, given their technological limitations. The shuttle landed on a marked pad, and Sarah Chen greeted them in what appeared to be standard military dress uniform. Welcome to Advanced Thermal Research Facility 7. She announced, her smile carrying a hint of anticipation that made several Pyrexians nervous. Please follow me. As they approached the bunker, the Pyrexian delegation's scientific advisor, Dr. Krill, activated her scanning devices. Her bioluminescence flickered with confusion. Ambassador, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures, the readings suggest. The massive concrete doors slid open, cutting off her analysis. The Pyrexians stepped inside what appeared to be a simple antechamber, their natural glow providing extra illumination to the stark space. If you'll all please don these safety suits, Sarah indicated a row of what looked like advanced environmental protection here. Standard procedure for all observers. Surely you jest, Kizoth scoffed. We are natural fire wielders. We have no need for protective equipment. Sarah's smile never wavered. The suits aren't to protect you from fire, Ambassador. They're to protect you from what comes after fire. Now, if you'll follow me. She pressed her hand to a seemingly blank wall, and the entire chamber shuddered. The simple concrete walls began to retract, revealing layer after layer of advanced materials and energy shielding. The Pyrexians watched in growing astonishment as the facility transformed around them. The bunker opened into a vast underground complex. Multiple levels of observation galleries surrounded a central testing chamber that seemed to be constructed of materials even the Pyrexians' advanced scanners couldn't identify. Massive energy conduits lined the walls, humming with contained power that made the visitors' flame organs tingle uncomfortably. Dr. Kirill's scanning device began emitting urgent warnings. Ambassador, these energy readings, they're beyond anything in our database. The containment fields alone are rated for temperatures that should be theoretically impossible to achieve through normal combustion. Normal combustion, Sarah echoed, leading them to the main observation level, is not what we'll be demonstrating today. She gestured to the reinforced windows, nearly a meter thick and composed of layered exotic materials. These observation shields are designed to withstand temperatures approaching that of a small star's core. We found anything less insufficient for our more advanced experiments. Zoth's confident demeanor had begun to crack. Surely you're exaggerating for dramatic effect. No species could safely contain such temperatures. Safety was certainly a concern in the early days, Sarah agreed, indicating the safety suits again. We lost 3 facilities before we perfected the containment fields. But that's the difference between our approaches, isn't it? When we hit a natural limit, we engineer our way past it. The Pyrexians, now hurriedly donning the protective suits, watched as human technicians moved through pre-demonstration checks. Each new reading from their scanners, each glimpse of the facility's true capabilities, further eroded their certainty. The demonstration will begin in 30 minutes, Sarah announced. I suggest you use this time to familiarize yourselves with your suit's emergency protocols. Once we start, we won't be able to pause the demonstration sequence. As she left them to prepare, Lord Varese turned to Kizoth with undisguised panic in his bioluminescent patterns. Ambassador, what exactly have I gotten us into? Kizoth stared through the massive observation windows, watching as human technicians activated systems that made the very air seem to shimmer with contained power. For the first time in his diplomatic career, he found himself completely at a loss for words. In the control room above, Sarah Chen began the final preparation sequence. All systems check green, she reported. Operation Prometheus is ready to proceed. Time to show them what humanity's primitive tools can really do. First, Sarah announced, her voice slightly metallic through the suit's communication system, a demonstration of what we consider basic thermal manipulation. She raised her arm, and what appeared to be a modified flamethrower emerged from the suit's forearm housing. The Pyrexians watched with barely concealed amusement until she fired. The jet of flame that erupted from the device wasn't the crude stream they expected. Instead, it formed into a perfect sphere of blue-white fire, hovering in the air with precision that matched their own natural control. Temperature at point of generation, 1,500 degrees Celsius, Dr. Wong announced from the control room. Pure laminar flow, fully controlled plasma state. Kizoth's bioluminescence flickered with the first signs of concern. Impossible. No natural fire cold. Natural fire. Sarah interrupted. Oh no, Ambassador. We're far beyond natural fire. She made a subtle gesture, and the sphere transformed, its surface rippling with complex patterns. This is just the warm-up demonstration. Computer, initiate sequence alpha. The sphere suddenly split into dozens of smaller ones, each burning at a different temperature, creating a rainbow of plasma colors that made the Pyrexians' earlier display seem monochromatic in comparison. The spheres danced through the air in complex formations, executing maneuvers that defied natural fire's tendency to rise. How? Dr. Carell's scanning device was emitting a constant stream of alarmed beeps. The containment fields, the precision of control, this shouldn't be possible without biological interfaces. Sarah's smile was audible in her voice. Biology is just organic technology, Doctor. We simply took a different path. She raised both arms. Now shall we show you what we consider advanced thermal manipulation? The demonstration chamber's lighting shifted as additional power systems came online. The humming of energy containment fields rose to a pitch that made the Pyrexians' flame organs resonate uncomfortably. Safety protocols engaged, the facility's AI announced. Preparing for high-energy demonstration sequence. Lord Varese, watching from behind the heavily shielded observation windows, felt his natural flames sputter with instinctive fear. Ambassador, he whispered, I believe I may have made a terrible mistake. Kizoth couldn't respond. He was too busy watching as Sarah Chen's primitive technology prepared to shatter every assumption his species had ever made about the mastery of fire. The real demonstration was about to begin, and suddenly, he wasn't sure he wanted to see it. "Record all readings," Sarah commanded. The Pyraxians wanted to see humanity's best. Let's not disappoint them. The chamber's temperature began to rise as her suit's main systems came fully online, and the true demonstration of human ingenuity prepared to begin. The demonstration chamber's atmosphere crackled with ionized particles as Sarah Chen activated her suit's primary systems. The Pyraxian delegation, safely behind multiple layers of advanced shielding, watched with growing apprehension as the facility's AI continued announcing safety protocols. "Stage 1 demonstration initiating," Sarah announced. Standard military-grade plasma projection. The weapon system that emerged from her suit's shoulder mount looked deceptively simple. The stream of blue-white fire that erupted from it was anything but. Temperature reading: 3,000 degrees Celsius. Dr. Wang's voice came through the speakers. Maintaining stable containment field. The Pyraxians watched in stunned silence as Sarah directed the plasma stream with practiced ease, creating patterns that mimicked their own fire dancing, but at temperatures that would have vaporized their natural flames. Their scanning devices were now emitting constant warning signals. "Impressive," Kizoth managed, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure. "Though surely this is the limit of what mechanical systems can." "Oh no, Ambassador," Sarah interrupted cheerfully. "This is just our basic combat system." "Computer, deploy demonstration target." A massive block of tungsten steel descended from the chamber ceiling. Sarah adjusted her stance as her suit began humming at a higher pitch. Stage 2. Experimental thermite projection system. The weapon that deployed from her other shoulder was larger, more complex. "I should warn you. You may want to engage your suit's automatic eye protection." The blast that followed wasn't fire as the Pyraxians understood it. It was a concentrated stream of what appeared to be liquid sun, burning at temperatures that made their previous demonstrations seem like matchsticks. The tungsten block didn't just melt. It vaporized, turning instantly to metallic steam. Temperature at point of impact: 8,000 degrees Celsius. Dr. Wang announced calmly, within expected parameters. Lord Varest had backed away from the observation window, his natural flames completely extinguished in shock. This isn't possible. No species can contain such temperatures." "Can't they?" Sarah asked, powering up her next system. "Computer, initialize fusion torch demonstration." The chamber's power consumption spiked so high that the Pyraxians' bioluminescence dimmed in response to the electromagnetic interference. What emerged from Sarah's suit this time barely resembled a weapon. It looked more like a piece of a star had been harnessed and contained. "Final demonstration stage," she announced. "You wanted to see humanity's mastery over fire. Well, here's what happens when we stop playing with fire and start playing with the forces that create stars." The fusion torch activated, and reality itself seemed to bend around its point of focus. The temperature readouts on the Pyraxians' scanning devices simply displayed error messages. Their technology couldn't comprehend what they were seeing. "Temperature in the reaction core." Dr. Wang's voice held a note of pride. "Approaching 15,000 degrees Celsius. Perfect containment maintained." Ambassador Kizoth watched as Sarah Chen methodically demonstrated complete mastery over temperatures that could melt virtually any known material. His species had evolved to create and control fire, yes, but humans had evolved to understand it, to break it down to its fundamental principles, and then to surpass it entirely. "This," Sarah said, powering down the fusion torch, "is why we don't rely solely on natural abilities, Ambassador. Evolution gave you mastery over flame. But human ingenuity, that gave us mastery over the very forces that birth stars." The demonstration chamber slowly powered down, its various safety systems cycling through shutdown procedures. The Pyraxian delegation stood in shocked silence, their worldview completely shattered. "Oh, and one more thing," Sarah added, her suit opening to allow her to step out, completely unharmed. Everything I just demonstrated. That's old technology. The classified stuff is even better. Dr. Krill's scanner finally gave up and shut down, its circuits overloaded by trying to analyze what it had witnessed. The message was clear. Humanity hadn't just matched Pyraxian fire mastery. They had transcended it entirely. In the stunned silence following the demonstration, Dr. Krill broke protocol completely. The Pyraxian scientist rushed forward, her specialized scanning equipment already active, desperate to understand what she had just witnessed. Her normally controlled bioluminescence flickered chaotically with scientific excitement and professional distress. "The energy containment fields alone," she muttered, taking readings of Sarah's now inactive suit, "the theoretical foundations required. Ambassador, their understanding of thermal physics exceeds our most advanced research by centuries." Kazov stood motionless, his own natural flames dimmed to nearly nothing as he processed the implications. "How?" he finally managed. "How did we miss this level of advancement?" Sarah Chen, now changed into her regular uniform, approached the group with deliberately casual steps. "It's quite simple, Ambassador. You stopped looking for answers the moment you found your natural solution. We never had that luxury." Dr. Wong joined them, carrying a tablet displaying comparative analysis data. "Your evolutionary advantage became your greatest limitation," he explained. "Why explore plasma physics when you can create fire at will? Why investigate fusion when natural flame serves your needs? You perfected one path while we were forced to explore them all." Dr. Krill's scanning device revealed more with each passing moment. Her professional composure cracked entirely as she realized the full scope of what she was seeing. These readings, the humans haven't just mastered fire, they've mastered states of matter we never even thought to investigate. Their primitive tools operate on principles our scientists haven't even theorized. Lord Verest, who had remained unusually quiet since the demonstration, finally spoke. "The trade routes are yours, of course," he said quietly. "Though I suspect that was never really what this was about." Sarah smiled. "No, it wasn't. This demonstration had a different purpose." She turned to Kazov. "Ambassador, we're not interested in humiliating your species or claiming superiority. What we want is collaboration." "Collaboration." Kazov's bioluminescence showed his confusion. "Exactly," Dr. Wong confirmed. "Your natural abilities, combined with our technological understanding. Imagine the possibilities. We've mastered artificial fire, yes, but your biological control systems are far more elegant than our mechanical solutions. Together, we could advance both our sciences beyond anything either species could achieve alone." Dr. Krill's scientific enthusiasm broke through her shock. "The potential applications, combining our biological fire manipulation with your plasma containment technology. Ambassador, we have to pursue this." Kazov looked around the facility, seeing it with new eyes. What had seemed like a primitive bunker now revealed itself as the product of engineering so advanced it might, as well have been magic. His species' pride had blinded them to an entire universe of possibilities. "Your suggestion has merit," he admitted, "though it will require significant adjustment in how our people view themselves and our place in the galaxy." "Growth usually does," Sarah replied. "But consider this. Your species mastered one form of fire through evolution. Imagine what you could achieve by adding human innovation to that foundation." The Pyraxian delegation huddled together, their bioluminescence creating a complex light show as they communicated in their species' private manner. Finally, Kazov turned back to Sarah. "We accept," he said. "Though I must ask, why show us all this? Why not keep such advanced technology secret?" Sarah's smile widened. "Because, Ambassador, humanity has learned something important in our climb from cave fires to fusion torches. The fastest way to advance isn't through secrecy or competition, but through collaboration. Besides," she added with a hint of mischief, "this wasn't even our most impressive demonstration. Wait until you see what we can do with quantum flame manipulation. Dr. Carell's scanner clattered to the floor as she fainted, her flame organs completely overloaded by the implications. The age of Pyraxian fire supremacy was over, but perhaps something far more interesting was about to begin. 1 year after the demonstration that shattered Pyraxian assumptions about fire mastery, the Joint Species Thermal Research Institute bustled with activity. The massive facility, built in the Nevada desert not far from the original demonstration site, represented the culmination of the new partnership between humanity and the Pyraxians. Ambassador Kizoth, now serving as the facility's co-director alongside Sarah Chen, stood in the main research chamber watching a remarkable collaboration unfold. A team of Pyraxian fire wielders worked in perfect synchronization with human engineers, their natural abilities enhanced by carefully designed technological interfaces. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be celebrating our species' greatest breakthrough by admitting our limitations, Kizoth mused, his bioluminescence showing patterns of contentment, I would have immolated the messenger. Sarah laughed, adjusting controls on a new prototype suit that incorporated Pyraxian biological principles. And if you told me we'd achieve stable quantum flame states by studying your species' thermal organs, I'd have been equally skeptical. Yet here we are. In the chamber below, Dr. Carell led a mixed team of researchers in testing the latest hybrid technology. Her natural flames, enhanced by human-designed field generators, created structures that defied traditional physics. The fire didn't just burn. It existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, opening up possibilities that neither species had imagined possible. The latest results from the Education Exchange Program are in, Dr. Wong announced, joining them at the observation window. Pyraxian students are showing remarkable aptitude for theoretical physics once they move past their cultural assumptions, and human students are developing new insights into biological energy manipulation that we never considered. A young Pyraxian researcher rushed into the chamber, her excitement evident in her chaotic bioluminescent patterns. Director Kizoth, Lieutenant Chen. The Children's Science Fair Project. You have to see this. They followed her to the facility's education wing, where a remarkable sight awaited them. A human child and a young Pyraxian stood proudly before their joint project. It contained a field of what appeared to be crystalline flame, suspended in perfect stasis. We combined Tommy's plasma containment homework with my natural fire generation, the young Pyraxian explained, barely containing her excitement. The resonance between the fields created a new state of matter. We're calling it flame crystal, though Dr. Carell says the proper scientific name will probably be something more boring. Kizoth studied the display with obvious wonder. A year ago, we thought we knew everything there was to know about fire. Now our children casually create new forms of matter as school projects. That's the beauty of combining different perspectives, Sarah replied. Your species perfected one path to fire mastery. We humans, driven by our limitations, explored countless others. Together, we're discovering there are infinite paths yet to explore. The facility's AI announced the success of another experiment, and teams of humans and Pyraxians rushed to analyze the results. In every lab, every workshop, and every classroom, the two species worked together, each contributing their unique strengths to push the boundaries of what was possible. You know what the best part is? Sarah asked, watching as the children excitedly explained their discovery to a growing crowd of scientists. This is just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of what our species can achieve together. Kizoth's bioluminescence pulsed with agreement. Indeed. Though I must ask, that quantum flame manipulation you mentioned during the demonstration, did that actually exist, or was it just to shock Dr. Carell into fainting? Sarah's enigmatic smile returned. Would you believe me if I said we're still keeping a few surprises in reserve? After all, she added, watching as another successful experiment sent cheers through the facility, it's important to maintain a little mystery between friends. As if to punctuate her words, the crystalline flame in the children's project shifted, forming a perfect double helix of fire and light. a symbol of two species' paths intertwining to forge a future brighter than either could have achieved alone. The age of competition was over. The age of collaboration had begun, and it burned brighter than any natural or artificial flame ever could.